So when did you start creating music?
I started creating music, think, uh, I think when I was 16, that was when I first started releasing music. I was always writing. So I remember like when I was like 10 or 11 years old, I used to like write raps for fun. But then when I started getting into like middle school, I was doing poetry. And then at the same time, I was like experimenting with rap. Like I was experimenting how it sounds to rap on a beat. I used to record myself on my phone. So I was writing music probably from middle school, but then I didn't release anything until I was probably 16.
Okay. When's the first time you hopped into like a recording studio?
The first time I was in a recording studio, again, was when I was, I think, 15 or 16. I remember I had my friend at the time. This is before I even did music. So we were actually that day, I think we went like shopping. Like we're just chilling downtown. I had a spoken word show, like they came up to that. Then after the spoken word show, we went to like, they're like, oh, we're going to go meet up with some other friends. To go to the studio. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, I've never been to the studio. I was like, okay. So then we went to the studio and I was there. I was watching everyone else record and I was like, yo, this is really dope. Like, I think I want to try this. So then that was a few months before I released my first song, because a few months later I went to the studio. I went back to the same studio and then I got in there and I recorded my first ever song. So it was around the same time. I was about 16, I think.
All right. Okay. What made you start creating music?
For me, it was always just like a innate feeling. So because I did spoken word and I did poetry beforehand, I was always like sort of like musically like inclined. Like I always wanted to take that route of like turning the spoken word into music, right? But what made me really, really start into the push was just like, I don't know. I just felt like, I just want to do this. Like, this is something that I just want to do. I think at the time as well, too, I remember, like, Uzi was really popular and Cardi was really popular. Like, it was when they were first really coming on. You had X on the scene, too. And, like, I love their sounds, don't get me wrong, but, like, I wanted to just, like, do something a little different. Like, I was making, like, boom bap music at the time, so it was very Joey Badass inspired. I wanted to continue that, like, New York rap sound sort of, like, going and keep it flowing. So I was like, let me, like, try, shake up, like, my own little, like, community of artists and rappers that I know and, like, make something a little different and, like, have some fun with it in a different way. And it was just always just fun. Like I was like, I just want to have fun. Like I never took it too seriously. It was always just about fun and making good quality music to me.
That's dope. Are you from Toronto?
Yes, I'm from Toronto.
All right, perfect. Did your environment or like kind of the place where you grew up kind of cultivate your music or influence it?
Definitely influenced what I talk about in my experiences. I write from like things that I know, like experiences and things that I have lived, right? So it definitely like cultivated that because, growing up like in the hood, like, you see a lot of things. Like I see a lot of things growing up. I'm very in tune with, street life and street culture. I'm not in like, I don't bang and anything like that, but I know people that do, right? So I have a very like wide perspective of life. I love the arts. I love different things, but I also do music for people like me, people who grow up in environments where, you may not get the support to be who you want to be or do what you want to do, but you still want to chase that either way, right? So that's kind of like definitely shaped and molded my experiences and what I talk to and the artists that I look to speak to. But stylistically, so where like my rap style is concerned, even fashion style, my artist style, like everything like that, my writing is more influenced by other rappers outside of Toronto, but Toronto has definitely shaped and like influenced my experiences and the things that I talk about.
Do you listen to any Toronto artists or no?
Here and there. There's a couple that I like. I wouldn't be able to say it off the top of my head like that. Like there's a couple that I like. My friends, like I have lots of friends who are artists and rappers and I bump them all day. That's Casey Garcia, of course. Listen to him all the time. Who else do I listen to? I don't know. Does Drake count?
Yeah, what kind of Drake? Of course.
So something like that.
All right. Okay. Sounds good. So Akil is just your like regular first government name, right?
Yeah. So my name is Akil. My middle name is, I have two middle names, Elijah Khalil.
Uh-huh.
Um, so I chose Elijah just because I wanted it to be like my name. Like I actually put a lot of thought process behind my rap name.
Mhm.
I went through a lot of different options. I went through all the like, Lil this and AK and whatever. I went through all these different options, but I was like, I want something that's really timeless, like as a rapper. I don't want to be a fad. I don't want to be a moment. I don't want something that's like, just coming and going. And so I
Yeah.
was like, what more timeless than my name? Like I just did my name. And I love the idea of having two first names as my artist name.
Mhm.
Because, like Kendrick Lamar, Jermaine Cole, like those people, those are two rappers that I look up to. And of course, J. Cole just goes by J. Cole. But two first names as your rap name, I thought was pretty dope. So I did like Akil Elijah.
All right. Yeah. No, it's definitely different because a lot of people just want to make some like cool rap name, and you just got your own Govy name. It's very
Yeah, it's me. Like
yeah,
there's nothing more me than me. Like.
yeah, for sure. You want to walk me through a creative process on how you create a song?
Yeah. So for me, creating a song, honestly, is just based on mood. Mood, what I'm influenced by at the moment. So if I'm listening to a lot of like a specific genre or specific style, sometimes I'll pick that up and I'll try and write with it. And like, but different eras I go through. But normally I hear the beat first. Sometimes I have the lyrics first, but normally I hear the beat first, or I find the beat that I want to hear first, and it literally just comes to me. Like there's no sort of like formula for me. Like the songwriting just happens naturally. Like I just let the song build and it does what it does. Like I will normally write a song. I'll normally start the song and finish most of it within the first hour.
Yeah.
First hour and a half max. But then I'll normally stop and I'll revisit it later. So whether that be a few days, a month, I'll revisit it later. I don't necessarily edit it, but I will like just finish it off. So like I'll get into like the last few bars and then I'll finish it later. So like it normally goes like that. I have to hear the beat first and then I just start writing. And as I'm writing, I try and build on the bars that I'm doing. So I try and make sure that each line is a play on the last line. Each line is a play on the last bar or a different thing. Like I really, really, really focus on the writing. And then creatively, once the song is finished and I record it, I start thinking about music videos, rollouts, like it all sort of like comes together and it all becomes like one big like creation. The song is just the beginning, but especially as an independent upcoming artist, the creative process goes all the way throughout the rollout.
Do you like to rather freestyle or do you like write usually when in the studio?
In the studio, I write. In the
Mhm.
studio, I write, but I freestyle all the time. I love freestyling. Like a lot of my songs are just freestyles or like unedited that way. So like if I hear a beat, I'll just put my phone on, record it, or record what I'm doing, and I'll just freestyle, and then I'll write that down, or like I'll just write down whatever I'm freestyling. But in the studio, this is one of my biggest tips to artists. In the studio, because you're paying for studio time, treat it like a job. Like I go in there, I have the
Mm,
songs out. I know exactly how long it's going to take me to record each song. Like I don't play about my time and I don't play about my money. And studio time is both, right? So
yeah.
I go in there. I'm very focused. Like I don't have time to be like, oh, should I do this? It's like, nah. I came here to record this, this, and this. If we have a 4-hour session, I know I'm going to get this done. Like I know
Is music like a passion or a career for you?
both. Definitely both. Music. I'm in love with music. Like I love making music. Um, I love it. Like there's things about it that I don't love when it comes to being an artist and like the creative side of it. But I love making music, and for me, that's where it becomes the passion.
Mhm.
But when I'm able to turn it into a business, that's when it's my career, right? So
Yeah.
I want it to be both. I don't want it to be either or. Like I want to turn my passion into my career, into my money, into my time, like everything.
Okay. Okay. How would you describe the music you create?
Fun. Like sometimes I say like, it's real pretty boy gangsta. Like, it's that mix of just like I like fashion, I like music, I like being pretty, I like being handsome, I like having fun, going out to drink. But I'm still like with it. I'm still with with the action. So that's how I rap and that's how I bring it up. And
All right.
it's supposed to resonate with a certain crowd, right? So like
Mhm.
that's the people that I want to represent. People that have fun, that are about their money, that live their life, but that speak to real experiences and have gone through real things and want to speak to that, but don't want to live in that sort of sorrow, want to move on and want to grow from that. That's what my music encompasses in a lot of different ways.
All right. Okay. Where would you see yourself in 5 years?
A global superstar rap phenomenon. That is where I want to be. That is the goal for the music. 5 years goes by really fast, but I feel like I got a good momentum going with everything that I'm doing, even outside of music, being a content creator, artist, all of that. You know, I want to be like the name that I want to be. I really want to have my moment and take over the rap game in a way that we've never seen. Now, granted, that's gonna be a long stretch. I
Hmm.
want a legacy, but within the next 5 years, I want to be starting on that legacy. Definitely.
All right, for sure. So I was doing my research on you, and I saw that you had an article out with the CBC Arts. Um,
Mhm.
Congrats on that, first of all, since that's pretty big.
Thank you.
How does it feel to be published on CBC?
It's a really good feeling. It was more about my poem and my poetry, right?
Hmm.
But it's a great feeling because I've been doing poetry for even longer than I've been doing music. So I started doing poetry probably when I was 14, right?
Yeah.
So it's just I worked really hard as a spoken word poet to like gain my flowers, get my accolades, and I kind of feel like I've done a lot of what I want to do as a poet.
Mhm.
And it was just a really like, you know, almost full circle in a way where it's just like, this is it. Like, this is nice for me. Like, it's a really great feeling to see that my work is being appreciated and the content that I'm talking about is being appreciated. And it's a really good feeling just to know that, I put in as much work as I did to get as much recognition as I did, and it worked, right? Like I was recognized by a lot of people that I used to look up to. Like it came to a point for me, especially once that article hit. Like I went from just being the kid in high school that does poems to now sitting with the people, like sitting at the table of people that I used to look up to, right? So
Yeah.
it's definitely is a great feeling.
Yeah. Do you remember how that kind of came together and how it happened?
Yeah, so honestly it's all about like opportunity and network. So because I was doing poetry for so long, I had linked up with Ian Kedeku, and he became pretty much my mentor on that sort of journey of the entire project of what we were working on. And he was like, he got together a lot of black artists and black creators
Hmm.
and black poets, especially young and like that are into the youth poetry scene, and he put us together to really create this really beautiful project surrounding all of our different experiences. And it had like animated works in it. It was really amazing. Ian Kedeku was like definitely the person that made that happen. And then of course Patrick as well, my one of my mentors, Patrick DeBellin, he made that happen too for me because I was working with him for so long before that. He put me onto a lot of different opportunities and got me into a lot of different spaces to allow me to have access to people like Ian and people that wanted to hear me and wanted to recognize my works, right? So it's definitely a lot owed to both of them.
All right, perfect. If you could collaborate with any artist in the game, who would it be?
Just one?
We'll say five. Top five.
Five? Okay. Nicki Minaj,
All right.
Beyonce,
Okay.
Kendrick Lamar,
Mm-hmm.
um, Lil Wayne.
All right, that's five.
I
Yeah.
can I think that yeah, that would be that's like my dream like feature list for my debut album.
All right. Do you listen to a lot of underground music as well, or do you listen to a lot of like mainstream artists?
Right now I do listen to a little bit of both, not a lot of underground music.
Oh, okay.
The underground artists that I listen to, if you want to call them underground, like, some mostly from New York.
Do you have any names?
Yeah, names, yes. I love London Hill.
All
Shout
right.
out London Hill so much. Cali M, listen to him too. Love him, love him. He's amazing. I love who else do I listen to? I really like Billy B right now. She's really dope. Um mm, it's hard for me to think. I'm trying to go through like what I see on my Spotify, what I scroll by.
The reason I was asking you about the underground, do you kind of take inspiration from these guys as well? As a way of kind of like making yourself a little bit more mainstream as the artist you just mentioned, as the people you want to collaborate with?
Yeah, like I mentioned before, when I really get into like a certain specific sound or a specific type of artist,
Hmm.
um I'll be like, yo, like I want to make a song like that. Like if it's dope, like I'm like that's a style that I really love. So like when I hear certain artists and I hear that they're like going in and they're doing their thing, like
Mhm.
it pushes me. It wants me to be like, like that's dope. Like let me like like work on my shit too, because like I get inspired by other people's sounds and other people's like styles and rapping. Like other people inspire me a lot, so definitely when I hear like people like them and I hear when they're doing their thing and they come on a track and they attack it, I'm like, yo, like like that's hard. Like I'll look for a beat that's similar to that style, like really channel that. So I think definitely.
All right. Talking about inspiring other people, what advice would you have for new artists that are coming into the game?
Hmm. My advice is to really, really work on your sound and your image. Find out who you are before you try to be somebody else. I think that is the biggest thing that you can do, because you will stand out so much easier by being different than you will by blending in. And sometimes it's going to take a little bit of like relocating. It's going to take, lots of trial and lots of error, but really keep pushing with who you are. Don't compromise yourself to try and be the next big thing, right? Like it's so easy to cop out and be like, man, my stuff's not blowing up. Let me just go, change my style and change my flow so I can, get a hit song to blow up on TikTok and then get like, no, like that's never gonna work, right? And it might work, but then you're just not gonna be remembered as yourself.
Yeah.
Really stick true to yourself, because we have enough of everybody else in this world. Like, we want to see more real authentic people being themselves. Like have your own style, have your own flow, just do your own thing. And it's not going to be easy, it's not going to be fun all the time, but it's going to be worth it. So stick true to who you are as an artist before anything else. That's definitely what I would say.
All right. Okay. Do you have any new projects people should look out for?
Yeah, right now I just dropped a new freestyle. It's called On the Map. We got a video for it coming soon. I flew out to New York to shoot a video, so that was really dope. It's called On the Map. It's really, really just all bars all the way through. Think like 50 Cent, G-Unit era, like think all of that, like just bars, just rapping. And I got another not a project, but another song that's gonna be coming out next month. Similar vibes, like I'm really, really pushing like real rap. So check that out. On the Map freestyles out on all streaming platforms. You can find it everywhere. If you want bars, then that's what you're gonna be looking for.
All right. The link is in the description as well.
Exactly.